Hi, everyone. Susan Winter here. Welcome to my fabulous followers. B, Gwyneth, thank you for being here every week, my lovely moderators. Jillian is here, one of the members of the YouTube family. Gnarly Cat, Barbara, a client, is here for the first time. I want to say hi to you. Let me see. Tony is here. Thank you, Tony. London Faust. And we have that boring dude from London that I don't think is that boring, but or he's from England, excuse me. So welcome, everybody. This show is something, hello, member. Hi. This show, hi, Valerie. Welcome to the family. Wow, that's like the top tier. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, I am talking about something that I don't see on YouTube. I love these conversations. Honestly, I get bored. I'm sure you do. Why they're pulling away, red flags. What does this mean? When to go no contact? There are so many thousands of those. And I want to talk about this stuff that people don't delve into that probably play a much larger role than any of you think of, and we don't discuss and we don't break them down. Things are not always what they appear to be. The last episode that I had was about a guy who wouldn't give a label and a commitment, and that was on the pre-recorded show. Thankfully, I insisted that the gal actually stay with the guy because she had all the components of her relationship: love, security. He introduced her to the family. All her friends said, go, go, go. By the time the show actually aired, she wrote back, I pinned it, and she's like, Susan, everybody said no. I stayed with it. I've got the title. All is good. So relationships are not black and white. I sincerely worry when people give you directives like, oh, this means this and that means that. We really need to look at the context. Now, I want to talk today about love, power, and control. This is part of a speech that I have been giving and a public presentation that I give with Tracy Burns from Fox News. We had done this at the Core Club, and we were booked for Sony Hall, a 500-seat auditorium in Manhattan, when this thing happened in 2020 called the pandemic. We were booked for April 14th. Oh my goodness. So that didn't happen. We want to think that our relationships are built on love. We want to romanticize them. And then we have our problems, but we just chalk that up to dispositions, or we've got different attitudes, or we need to sort this out. Very few people think about this underlying, very subtle conditioning that has to do with our interpretation and understanding of who has the power and therefore who has the control. And here's the clincher. The person with the power is not always the one who has the control. This is what we're going to go into this. What is power in a relationship? All right. These are classical definitions. Money, status. This we understand. Oftentimes, we are in relationships where our partner is from a different economic income, from a different social status than we are. But people don't acknowledge things like family. This is especially true in Europe, but some of the US, that people come from a prominent family. And that is a sense of power in itself. Any kind of group that supports you, even a social group, if you have a lot of friends, that's power. That puts you in a different position than your mate if your mate lacks one of these things, or even has a little less. There is also location. How many of you have moved to another city to be with a partner? Tell me you felt that secure. You gambled a lot to go there, right? And it wasn't your turf. You didn't know anybody. You didn't have the power and solidity of being there, right? And also, okay, the job title. Sometimes it's not the money. Sometimes it's the title or the fact that you have influence because of your job, because of who you know. Maybe you get to go to certain restaurants. Your job allows you a lifestyle that you really can't afford, but you get to go to these whether you're in travel or whatever, in the hotel industry, you get to stay in magnificent places, maybe ride first class because you work for an air carrier, and things that you'd never do before as a regular person. So this is all a form of power. These are the perks that you have in a relationship. Let us never forget the other very powerful forms of currency in a relationship, which are charisma, beauty, and sexuality. And upon those three, and sometimes youth, you can have a flip of who has the power and who has the control. The one with the power, we assume they are the one with the control. When you get into an age gap, you assume the one who's the elder has all the power in the relationship because they have all the resources. They know more about life, and maybe they'll dictate what the terms are to their younger partner. But if the younger partner is really good looking, young, and very sexy, the elder may not have the control. The elder may be nervous and scared. When there is inequality in whatever the power base is, we have arguments. Arguments, listen, you think it's not about control in a relationship. When you and your partner have a dispute, what is it? Somebody wants their way and the other one wants it their way. This is an argument. So you've got two forms of how it should be. That's power. That's who's going to get control of that situation according to the argument. We would love to say that everybody negotiates fairly, but we know that they don't. So if a partner, let's say, I'm going to shoot it from two angles. If you're the dominant partner and in your relationships or the people that you date, if you feel that you have more of the traditional forms of power, the job security, the titles, maybe this is your town that you're in, you're the elder, more money, more status, it looks like you have all of this, and maybe your partner has less. It feels good to provide that to your partner. And you may think, I got more control. Because after all, they'd be foolish to leave me. They'd be foolish to make me mad. I'm the one that makes everything happen. I pay for the vacations. I'm the one that takes us to dinner. This is my home. They're living here. Or it can be more subtle versions of that. You're the one with a little more money. You're the one with a little more cachet. Now, what can happen is that all of us have been socialized from our family of origin and our environment to have a blueprint about what we think about money and status and power. Unbeknownst to you, this very loving mate that you have, that you trust and you think they're so fabulous and it's a great relationship and oh my God, you're kindred spirits, the sex is amazing. But they may have in the back of their head a little insecurity about the fact that they're very aware that you're the one with all the chips. And sometimes there could be a buildup of resentment that comes out in something that's going to be an argument or hurt you, withholding emotions, pulling away because they feel inadequate or they're just irritated at the fact that they're not able to come forward as your equal. So then you have lost the power because now they've taken it from you by retracting from you, pulling away, and in a way you're penalized for all that you've given. Now, I know that this resonates for some of you here, and that is why I also make a decision to talk about these things. I'm going to give you an example of a client that I dealt with the other day. She lives abroad. She comes from a very good family. She was dating a man who, was at work, and I think they were fairly equal positions. But she had, in Europe, family and legacy and like power is a whole nother thing than for most of us here in the US. She had a prominent name, and when she's describing to me what this guy is doing and why he's treating her so poorly, it was very obvious to me that there was an underlying dislike and resentment. There was a bias against her because she had No, she was born into it. It's not like she could say, oh, I'm sorry, let me throw away my grandfather and all the lineage. No, no, no. Did she have access to things that regular people like this fellow didn't have? Sure. She's not to be blamed because of it. Did she work hard to get everything she had? Absolutely. But when I heard of some of the ways that the behavior was shifting, it was punishing and it was overtly cruel. She thought it was normal disenchantment and him pulling away, but I read it from a whole nother angle because I'm seeing another layer to this. I'm seeing a resentment for somebody, and then it's explained to me that it was also expressed in his words, like, yeah, you've always had it easy. Well, you wouldn't know what it's like to struggle. So there was a part of enjoyment in this person to take her down a notch. Maybe he couldn't get back at whatever group he felt oppressed him, but he could at least make her feel terrible. And that gave him a bump up. His ego got a hit and he got to feel good. We go into some of the reasons that people have bad behavior. And it's a blanket statement to say everybody's a narcissist or a sociopath, okay? Or that they have some kind of attachment theory. That might appease us, and we go, okay, that's what they is. They're abusive. But when we start to see the architecture of why they're abusive and where they got that line of thinking, that's where it gets very interesting. It is incumbent upon all of us to examine our bias and our thinking and our own resentments that maybe through no fault of our own, we absorbed from our community, from our family, our decisions about certain groups and certain peoples. So this is like a reverse bias, right? This is something where you're hating the one who's got. Now, I don't meet that many people who have assets, who are in a relationship with somebody and they don't care about them and they abuse them. I know it exists, but they're simply not the people I work with. I work with some, like all of yourselves, very grounded people that are trying to work through things. But you have to understand that if there is someone, and let's reverse it now. Let's say it's you. You're with somebody and they've got all the chips and they got all the fancy friends and they've been to all the places you've never gone to, and you're hardworking and you love them, but sometimes it's exhausting. It's exhausting listening to all of them talk about places that you can't really comment on. It's exhausting kind of feeling like you're a little bit on the outside, trying to make yourself feel comfortable as though you're on the inside. These things can be very daunting. So oftentimes we will, very nice people, find our own way to even the score, to do something just a little naughty, not horrible, not to ruin the relationship, but maybe just to remind our partner that we have something too. Maybe we have youth. Maybe we have beauty. Maybe we have our own, I don't know, talents. Maybe we got somebody that's got a crush on us. Once in a while to kind of remind them that what they think they've got, it's not such a lock. These are the aspects of the conversation I'd like to have today. And if you have a specific question about this disparity of power and control, and let me ask you all a question right here, okay? Because I haven't seen the chat board move. I haven't moved it. Who has the power in your relationship? Write to me. Do you? Does your partner? And this could be just your basic dating life, okay? Who's got the power here? Oh, Ina is here. Oh my goodness. Hi, Ina. I love Ina. She does fabulous work in Hungary, and I refer many of my clients to her. Okay. Eileen, Susan's answers are amazing. I adore you, Eileen. Oh, I recognize your face. This is wonderful. Miss M. Okay, your advice is always so wise. Thank you. Okay, so Coach Amy, who has the control? Whoever cares less. Wow, isn't that how it seems? Okay, me and my partner both get into a power gridlock. Okay, Lilia, when you get there, who wins? If you get into a power gridlock, because you haven't written me as to who has the power, I want you to figure out how your partner is constructed. Okay, this is something I'm going to teach in my group program. If you're really good, even if they've got all the power and they've got all the resources, and your argument makes sense, You can sway them. Not manipulate, you can sway them. Ladies, learn to use logic if you're speaking to a man. Don't be emotional. Emotional doesn't work. A man's mind, the hetero man's mind, is fairly logical. It goes in order. Many men start to decompose when you start crying because it's just like, oh God, how do I make this stop? I don't like, what do I do? This is like, she's not talking anymore. I don't know what's going on. Be logical. Why do you feel this way? Why is that the better choice? That can sometimes soften that gridlock. And ask your partner, help me understand why your choice, why you want what you want. Doesn't seem to make sense to me. It seems that if we took the earlier flight out instead of the later one that you want, I know we get to sleep. But you know, the statistics show that if you take an earlier flight in the morning with all the traffic jams that are going on, all the planes being canceled, we have a better chance of actually going to the airport and having a plane take off and going to where we want to go. So tell me why, because I want to understand your thinking. That's a great way to undo the gridlock. Okay, who's got the power? I think some areas I have more power, Jillian says, in some areas he does. It averages out fairly well and can carry according to the situation. Okay, this is a very happy lady in a well-adjusted engagement, about to be married situation. We love Jillian. How do we handle feeling excluded by our partner? Okay, this is a little off topic. Let's see, excluded by our partner, but maybe not. If I feel excluded by my partner, I'm going to, first of all, say, am I in a partnership with this person? Nowadays, I have to qualify for so many people. If you're sleeping with somebody and you don't have it sorted out, you haven't discussed the terms of engagement, we don't really know what you've got, and they don't have any responsibility. But let's say you have an actual partner, you're together, you are a couple, right? And you feel excluded. When do you feel excluded and why? Is this a social event where, as the partner, you should be invited, but you're not? Are you excluded because it's a business situation? What is their reason for excluding you? There are times to exclude for business because to have you there doesn't have any relevance to the situation. Excluded from a family thing, if you're living together, married, unacceptable. Okay, so why? The question is why. And then what are you included in? Can you up those? Somebody said earlier that the one who cares the least has the most control. That's true, perhaps in initial dating. If you're in a relationship, that stuff's not going to work anymore. You know, hopefully by the time you're in a relationship, you're in an actual partnership that's functional. And then both people are working in unison. They have their challenges, but they both care about each other, and it's equal. Let's see, Jillian. Okay. We prop up the quote, with great power comes great responsibility. Yes, Keith, great. But very few people use that power appropriately. Being powerful is like captaining a ship. You're responsible for everyone on board. Love this, Keith. Love having you here. Love the guys here. Sounds like her power has the control. Her partner has the control. Okay, love this. That's true. Being in right order is something that is important not only in business, but in our social life and in our personal life. If you have power, you can afford to be generous. My number one rule for those of you involved with somebody in a relationship is pick your battles. You can afford to be generous on things you don't care about, really, really. I had a boyfriend who had decorating ideas. Not in my home, not going to go. If we built a home together, of course I have to listen to you. If you want to bring in big, heavy Gothic stuff with ball and claws or whatever that is, not interested. Not going to go with my modern decor. Nope, not going to happen. So wasn't there, on Big Bang Theory, I think there's a point where Leonard is getting together with Penny and he's got to rid his Star Wars sheets on his bed and hide some of his toys and dolls, or maybe it was with another girl he had a relationship. He had to hide all of his fantasy action figures from Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever they were. And he, his comic books, because it looked childish because he wanted to impress her. So there is some amending that people do, but let's see, I met the guy Okay, I met the last guy I liked. It worked. He had more power because he had seniority. Okay, but I think I also had the power because he was terrified by how attracted he was to me. Then he turned me away. Could have been a preemptive dump. Could have been a work issue if he's a senior. You know, we had something. My God. Okay, so I work for Talk TV in London. I work with them about every 2 months or so. Big thing for me because I have to come on very late at night. Even worse for them. They're like 2:30 in the morning BST time. But we had somebody write us about a work situation. The younger gentleman, who is the junior, is writing about the senior female boss. They're having a fling, he says, and she seems to be okay with it, but he was just wondering, is it a good idea? Like, okay, so first of all, she's in more trouble than he is, but we have to be careful also in work. You may find in a work situation, somebody has to step away from you as the senior, even if they're attracted to you, because they're terrified by the consequences, the way the situation could be perceived. In my estimation of this, and I'll include it on my website, and you guys will see it in some posts because I just haven't bothered to put it in yet. But my answer was that the female has far more to lose than the fellow. He'll be looked down upon because if he has any promotion, it'll be looked as though the junior gained their power simply by sleeping with the boss. But the boss is at greater risk of losing their job for poor management and lack of foresight. So it gets a little tricky. Okay, let's see. Hi, Susan. I'm dating someone who is very attractive and has been abused in the past. She gives ultimatums instead of communicating. I think she fears mates abusing her power, their power. So whenever I have met somebody who is that reactive, so first of all, danger, danger, warning, warning. Trigger responses like this, like hair trigger responses, an ultimatum. This is a desperate attempt to like, stay away, I'm in control. She's not in control, and she knows it. She's terrified by her weak boundaries because they've been run over so many times in the past. I'm going to tell you how this normally goes. God, I hate this. I wish I had happy endings for everything. Normally, these don't end up too well. If you're a really nice person, you're going to try and save this person and coddle them and help them get safe and whatever. But if your partner is still so entrenched in the learning how to defend themselves and barking at every time the wind blows, imagining it's another big dog, somehow, some way, the likelihood of you being blamed for their reactivity when you did nothing wrong is almost a guarantee. Just tread lightly. If this person weren't so attractive, would you be so helpful? Let's get real here. The power of beauty. Can I even mention how that affects us? The power of sex? Really? Not just men, women too. I have a girlfriend right now who is spun sideways with phenomenal sex with a person that can barely make it through the day. That, like all their effort to get up, go to work, and function. How do you think they are in texting back? How do you think they are in accountability? How do you think they are on showing up when they say they're going to show up? So, okay, let's see what's going on here. Write me if you have a question. Carrie, nice to see you here. Oh, Pablo. Is Pablo here? This is fabulous. Oh, I love seeing all these people. So if you notice the people in colors, they are members of my YouTube channel, and the ones in blue are the moderators. We have Gwyneth and we have B to keep this a safe and nice place for everybody. Now, give me your questions, everyone. I'd love to know. Thank you, Susan, for your honesty. I've tried my best. That's all I can do. Jillian, yeah. Oh, yeah. The hot, crazy scale is real. Yeah, and that's from a lady, y'all. It tends to be real. Spun sideways, yeah. Gnarly Cat, she's gotten the best sex she's ever had in her life. And so obviously, this balanced, grounded person with high self-esteem is suddenly watching herself. And this is what I love. When you're really aware and you're together, you watch yourself go through these twists and turns like, what am I doing? Why did I stay up all night? Why did I get upset? Why am I getting jealous? I'm not even in a relationship with them. It's just, nothing makes sense. And by the way, for some of you that went from the revolving door of dating and never getting into a relationship, when you start getting into relationships, and that's your norm, and you have been treated with respect and kindness, and you have safety and security, and then you're done with all that because you think, oh, I got to get out of these relationships. I'm just going to go date casually. Good luck. You think you're going to unlearn being respected? You think you're going to be comfortable now being a non-priority because you set up, hey, it's playtime. No rules here. Never set sexual exclusivity, got no expectations for you. Didn't pick someone from the possible relationship category, picked you for great sex, got great sex, and got a headache with it because I didn't ask for the other categories. So don't manifest small. If you want great sex, at least tack onto the backside of your manifestation, and they're a great person with the possibility of a relationship should we want one. All right, everyone, what do you want? What are we thinking here today? What about power? Do you understand? Okay. Okay, did I read this? What if the power swings both ways? That's pretty good. I have my power. I'm an asset to him work-wise, plus secure in my life. That's beautiful. Okay, and his power is super charming, appears to have it all smoking hot. Sounds like a well-balanced relationship. In that case, you each recognize the other's assets. And because both of you have your categories and they're evenly stacked, there will tend to be less friction. I think sometimes of the ones who've lost their power as, and this happens oftentimes in age gap relationships. So I have a gay client who's quite famous, and he's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And his younger lover is, of course, beautiful and sweet and kind and nice and all that. And, the breath of that pure, fresh love, the unbroken heart that falls in love for the first time, the purity, the sweetness of that is intoxicating. And my client loves him very much, but he has to, that was his first coming out in his first gay relationship. And now he's come to the point where he owes it to himself to do some exploration. Oh my God, what my client has gone through emotionally. Because you got to let them go. You can't have them unresolved and wanting within a monogamous relationship. And sometimes they try different variations of open. But this is a calling for this kid. And may I add, all of his attention and value was given to him, bestowed upon him by his gracious partner with all the assets. When you are this high in the world and you are famous and beautiful and rich and you own the city you live in just by walking through it, paparazzi everywhere, and you pick a young lover out of nowhere, they become a thing. Never heard of them before, never seen them, but you're like, oh my God, if so-and-so thinks he's something, then he must be something, simply by granting them your attention. But it cuts both ways. Remember, the one who needs to prove themselves, if they're an honorable person and they have fewer assets, they will need to prove themselves in this relationship to feel equal. And here's another weird thing. People get unappreciative when they're given things. There's a way that we disable them by assuming they can't. Like, oh, well, I know you can't afford to pay for it. Is it selfish? Yeah. If you're going to a top tier hotel because that's what you want, but your partner can only afford something a little above a motor lodge, then, just by you being there, they're going to have one of two reactions: a subtle, enjoying it, but a subtle feeling of guilt because they can't participate on the same level. And we're talking huge disparities. We're not talking slight disparities, but we're talking about power, control, and the difference between who has the power. And so the younger one could, in this case, somebody want to know, where are they pulling away? You know, if you have a disempowered, or even if your partner perceives themselves as being disempowered, you've done nothing overboard. You haven't been lavish with the gifts. You've done nothing, but they're already intimidated by you. And Natalia, if you're on, I hope you listen to this. Women have this whole thing about men being intimidated by them. But if they're already intimidated by you, you've got all the power, they can get a little pissy about it and unappreciative, because there's a subtle underlying resentment for feeling like less. Not that you did it on purpose, it's just the way it is. And here's the thing about the one with all the resources. If you're being so generous and taking this other person on for the ride because you love being with them and you think, oh, I'm going to help them or whatever, and they get grumpy and grouchy, the next thing that stops is the sex. Now you look at them and think, well, now I got nothing. You didn't have anything before. Now you're not nice to me and you're not appreciative. I got to break up with you. So you see how this goes back and forth. This is where we have to really check ourselves. Now, I want to answer some of your questions. If anybody has questions here on power, control, how to regain control, give it to me so I know what you need. And if I'm not talking to you, I know I trust that Jillian can. So the dynamic doomed, if there's too much of a power imbalance, it is very hard. Now, in a modern world, it's harder. 1950s and back, this was considered normal. Women didn't work, they couldn't work. Another 100 years earlier, they couldn't have land. Remember, I was watching black and white television when the first woman in history of America got a credit card in her own, not her husband's name. I was a little girl, but I was watching it, and it just went, I don't know why. You don't have women's rights. We didn't even have women's rights. We didn't know what that was. Women were social secretaries, and they married well, and they married the highest rank they could marry. Beauty was king. You didn't have to be smart. You didn't have to be accomplished. You didn't need schooling. But if you were beautiful, you could catch somebody prominent. That was the requirement. Didn't have any power. You had power via them. You know, so a lot has changed. But it's not only the power imbalance, it's the underlying feelings that your partner has about who has more that they may not even be aware of. You know, I remember having a partner by the sheer fact that he was younger. Of course, he couldn't have had resources. But I remember him telling me that his mother said things like, oh, go eat at their house for lunch. They're rich. They should pay for you because they have money. We're poor, but we're good. Rich people are bad. They weren't rich. This was in the country out here, but they evidently had more money. And so the mother would foist her sons off on whatever people make friends that have money so you can eat at their house and they'll take you places. This sounds brutal. We're talking about the directive she gave her son was in the 1990s, right? I mean, like, people feel that way. So you don't know where the underlying resentments come from in a relationship. And oftentimes you can have your partner pulling away. And I bet you're going to go through everything on attachment theory, and you're going to go through everything on narcissism. And you might have not thought about this topic. Can you get it back on board? If you're very clever. Obviously, I'm speaking from the one who's had more power. I don't think I've been in a situation where I've been comfortable with somebody that had more power than myself. Certainly a better job, more money, that's fine. But more power, in essence, I don't think I would have felt comfortable with. I'm being honest. I wanted to feel safe. Being safe didn't mean I was safe, as I've learned. The stuff I'm revealing to you, I've learned through hard knocks. Just because you have it doesn't mean you're going to be the one in control. Sometimes the other person can control you simply whether they love you or they don't, or they're going to be nice or they're not. and you put all your investment into them, time, money, and love. So here we go. I allowed her a lot more and I mistook it for being a good partner. Okay. Do players come into a situationship relationship with the attitude already that they have both power and control? I bet they do. They've got a history of it, Barbara. You know they do. And I know your very situation. There is a turning point where you're going to tell if your partner that you're being generous to because it's really for you and they're the treat that makes this event or this trip or this weekend worth it, right? I used to call it emotional furniture. Like you got this beautiful house, then you need something to put in it just to make you feel like it's a home. So in a selfish way, let's be real, you pay for their trip to come with you. And then when they get there, rather than being ecstatic, which would be rewarding, and then it would make you happy because now it's something you can both share, they get pissy, moody, nasty, and worse yet, entitled. This happened to my friend. Took this young man someplace, the one that makes her eyes roll back in her head, put his feet up on the cocktail table and leaned back and started barking orders. Yep. Quickly loved what was the perceived shift in power. And by the way, kindness is sometimes perceived as power. Love is sometimes perceived as a con. You don't know where somebody's coming from. They can seem perfectly rational the first 3 or 4 dates, the first 10 or 15 sexual episodes. And then stuff can go haywire and you're like, what happened? Where's this attitude, this dismissiveness, this aggression, this cruelty? Where is this coming from? Take a look at this. Watch this one again. All right. Christy, what is the difference between someone wanting power, playing games versus narcissism? Narcissists are simply tunnel focused on what they want. You are the accidental damage. You're the collateral damage in their quest to get their needs met. That's all it is. A player and let's see, what did you say? Where is this? Did I find? Somebody who wants power and playing games. 2 slightly different variations. The one who's playing games with you, they love the game. If they can win over you, if they can best you by capturing you, making you fall in love with them, well, kind of player, right? They're playing games, they're a player. To capture you is a big deal. Remember, to somebody that doesn't have power or perceives power, or they just love the game of winning. Because some narcissists and some players have all the chips. They're like the best looking person with the biggest job, but they think they're entitled to have what they want, right? Some, not all. And if they want to take you down, they get delight out of taking down somebody that they feel is a formidable opponent. Players don't get a kick out of taking down somebody easy. The challenge is getting the one that's hard to get. The challenge is winning the one that's hard to be won. The challenge is fooling, being that good at your craft that you can fool someone into letting down their guard and then do it. So I believe, truly, that players are some of the most susceptible people to love from my own 6-year journey, on purpose. I'm sure the therapists out there going, oh my God, just shut up, Susan, don't tell people that. But I did. I dated players patently for 6 years. The relationship girl who had very few men in her bed, long-standing relationships, very few partners. I got on this ride to see what the deal was. They are more scared of you than you can ever imagine. Let me turn this entire conversation around. Do you know where your true power lies? Beyond all of this, your true fountain of endless power. Because if you can figure that out, and you can feel that in this discussion today, This is going to lead you to never being that susceptible, loving, and seeing it, and choosing when you want to play and not. When you know the power of the love that you possess and you realize that you are the one that owns it, when you realize and you know consciously that you choose to engage in an action where you can see all the movements in your head because you know every chess move there, and you've done that kind of work, whether you've got the dating games guide or you've just done intense psychological work and you've studied human nature and you know what the outcome's going to be. And if you decide to jump off a cliff, you know you're going to be able to swim at the bottom of that pool that looks like it's this big. Yeah, then you've got the power. Then you're fearless. Okay, Jillian. Member for 2 months. Cha-ching. Love this gal. The best power is when two partners are both happy to contribute and genuinely appreciative for what is contributed to them. We give and receive freely and build fulfillment and lasting love. Jillian, this is beautiful. Everyone read this. I'm telling you, I'm going to retire and have Jillian take over for me. I'm sweating, you guys. I turned off the AC so that you don't hear the noise. This would not be possible, Jillian, if you did not know yourself and know yourself well enough to pick a partner who knows themselves as well. You know, you've got massive skills from what you share here. You know, we adore you. And, you know, it's always so reassuring to me when I see the people and I know who they are and I know how they're going to respond and I know how they're going to help people when I'm busy yapping because they're going to be answering questions. B and Gwyneth are the same. And so many of you, Gnarly Cat, you know, Brian Pablo, all of you. So you couldn't come to this place if you hadn't had your skills and you found your match. And your match in a healthy relationship is somebody that when they come to one of these challenges, sticking points, or you come to an argument, that you kind of know your stuff. I mean, I've been in relationships with fellows where I remembered saying, don't do this. I know what you're doing. I can see it. You're doing this, this, and this. Here's my control panel. Do not push me here because this hurts. And if you do this, I'm going to tell you exactly how I'm going to take you down. I'm telling you my game plan so you don't do it. I'm absolutely calling it out because this is how I will react if you keep doing this. You know, I've had people test my power out of insecurity. They thought I'd leave them. Guess what? I left them because they tested my power. It's like, really? How can I continue to love you if you keep pushing because you're so terrified of love? You have a fundamental fear of love. You don't trust yourself that you're resilient. I'm out there like this, hanging off the edge. You know, like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I'm going to wait and see. I don't know. I'm going to make you suffer. Oh, yeah, I'm going to make her grovel. You think I don't remember that? You think I don't remember that? I hate to keep doing this, but this is the stuff I'm going to talk about in my new group class. I'm going to show you where your power lies and how you can get it and come out of this and go. It doesn't mean you'll never feel heartache. That would be a false, I'm never going to lie to you that way. I'm never going to do that. But you will know who you are and you can handle it. If we have a fear of love, we have a fear of everything. What are they going to do to you? Come on. You're not going to die. You've got more power than you know. And if where's your power? Tell me. Does somebody know who they are? That's massive power. Is somebody able to love and be resilient? Massive power. Is somebody able to have a really great communication skill where they can work their way through things and neutralize whatever this argument is? That's great power. Does somebody understand the disposition of their partner or people so well that when they get into a thing, they can kind of woo-woo and get them back into, like, navigate their own partner's weak ego, massage it and kind of get them back into place again for your own well-being. So where are you with your power? Let me know here. Okay, I don't know. Gnarly Cat's having a whole... Miss M, my sister kept going back to her boyfriend. Even after he cheated on her several times and even stole money from her, they're still together now. I look at so much of this like we are really trying to change our past. I see this happening to people, and I truly, listen, I have a fundamental belief that people are actually smarter than we think they are, that even when they do these spectacularly, apparently stupid things, that they are serving some need within themselves. I do not believe that we are all flawed and dysfunctional and have a million psychological labels we have to put on our identity. I don't believe that. I believe that in a case like this is a gambler's mentality. This is like, I have lost so much. I am going to make this damn thing work for me. But that's the trap. See, it's like going back to that gambling table because you have lost so much. So this is the awareness that has to be had. You're there not because you're weak. Maybe you are. Maybe they're controlling you mentally. But most people are there because they want to win. They want to win back the ground, the territory, the self-esteem that they've lost. And they're so ashamed that they have been in this clearly abusive relationship for so long. They want to change the story. If I can just change the ending, if I can just make them love me, if I can go back in one more time and then I can walk away from it. I was dealing with this with another couple of clients. You know, when I really analyzed why they were hung up on this person, it had nothing to do with the person. The person was simply the catalyst for the emotion coming up. So I don't want to get this far off target, but I mean, it's on target, but it's a little bit different conversation. So let me get back to your power and to your control. Does everybody here have a way? Okay, Eileen K., I love it. Now that is the question. Where does my power lie? I show a lot of loyal love, hasn't gotten me anywhere. Temper your loyalty, which is loyalty, being in right order. These are some of the most valuable ethical qualities. There may be a handful of people who play the same way you do. And it can be quite a challenge when you go out into the world thinking everybody's nice. Oh, they're so nice and we're friends. And then you realize, oh my God, it's like me in business. Like, oh, I thought they were my friends. But you know, I live and I learn. I'm like, okay. So when we know that we have this precious commodity, our time, our ability to love, our loyalty, our devotion, we also need to, at some point, when we're done with fooling around and testing our confidence and playing the field and trying this and trying that, at some point in our life, it's wise to say, okay, I've gone off-road, I've gone Autobahn, I've done this, I've done side roads. I think now I'm going to invest wisely. I'm going to take my time and take my energy and take the love that I have to offer, and I'm going to invest it wisely in somebody that I think can grow it, like a good money manager. Yeah, I'm going to see who has the love to give back to me because I want to watch this thing grow. Have I learned through trial and error, through being unaware of why I was dating so many people that were problematic, that I would end up at the place? See, part of this is the process. Yes, it's funny how life is. Some people step into this immediately. I met a woman who's this big Hollywood producer. She told me that she met her husband in high school. They got married right after, but she's not somebody living in Des Moines. She's in the middle of Hollywood being a massive producer and this huge personality, right? This is like we think, oh, only people in Iowa do this. But, you know, yeah, she did it in California. But at the same time, those of you who've gone out to challenge yourself with players, with difficult people, with people out of your league, with people way below your league, with whatever, the end result is that hopefully you've got a great data collection of what you like, what you don't like, what to do, what not to do. And maybe at some point you're like, done the research now, done the in the field testing. Now I think I want to create something. create something. And when you want to create something, you are looking for fertile ground to put these valuable ingredients into, right? So then you start dating intentionally for the idea of creating a spectacular relationship where you can utilize all of your skills. You can love without fear. Yes, you probably already know how to love without fear, but now you don't have to be monitoring everything and evaluating everything. Don't need the dating games guide in your back pocket. So, right? Let's see, what do we have here? Before I sign off, I want to make sure that I've answered anybody's question that has one. Barbara, I gained my power back after one session with Susan. I love this. Almost back to being a total badass again after a breakup with a player a month ago. Thank you, Susan. Barbara, thank you. I truly believe that so many of you that come to me and you think, oh my God, I'm such a mess. It's just you got the camera at the wrong angle, and it's not your fault. You're listening to everybody out there. Imagine if you knew how good you are. Imagine if you knew how together you are. Imagine if you knew how incredibly innately wise you are. Imagine if you knew how to trust yourself. Imagine that. Who's going to sell you a product? You're not going to need one. You're not going to need the cream for your legs. You're not going to need, I don't know, the stuff under your eyes. You're not going to need the next course on attachment. You're not going to need how to, I don't know, have a boundary setting. You're not going to need that stuff. So that's my rant, right? You already have it inside you. We are here to kind of refine it. Everybody, I promise you, those who are doing stuff, half the time you think it's nuts. I know there's a reason for it. But if we can work it through, maybe we can find a better use of your time. Gnarly Cat, I love you. You are so cool. Thank you, Susan, for another great live show. Gnarly Cat is a great supporter in the Dating Games Guide and has welcomed Joey and other people. And I love this. My goal here is to take all of you brilliant people and put you in a wonderful, warm, inclusive family. So I've been trying different methodologies. I've tried the YouTube membership because YouTube asked me to. I've tried the Dating Games Guide. Now I'm trying the group thing. Wow, I was trying the group thing so I could get everybody together and have more time to myself. And then there's this thing where you have to like consult with them and interview them and then like process them. And I'm like, oh my God, I could have just had somebody push a button. I could, it's so much time. I'm learning how to grow my business and still provide you the kind of service and unity that I want. It's a lovely group. If you start to see the timbre of the messaging here, what I love about everybody in this live show and in the Dating Games Guide and in my membership plan, you're all very helpful to each other. If you catch a comment that I'm not seeing, you're already elevated and you're aware. And I love the support. We need support in this stuff. I'm not sure what you're hearing when you leave this channel. I don't know. There's some very good people and there's some people that are, just the same old. So trust yourself. Really start to take a look at your moves on the game board and be honest. Why did I do that? What do I'm getting? Where's my payoff? I don't think it's a payoff. Someplace it's a payoff. Let's just analyze this. And how can I do that better to make myself happier? What can I learn? So I've loved having all of you here. B and Gwyneth, let's see, a dreamer gal, I love you so much. Cassandra, question, what do you think his deal is to my above comments? I don't know, Cassandra, because I missed a lot of these. I don't know what you're talking about. If you have a super chat, why don't you write it for me and tell me the whole thing? And he only knew her online for 2 weeks, then they moved in. Okay, this is obviously somebody you thought you had a relationship with, and you thought you had a connection, and they quickly left. Things like that happen. I can't always qualify. Let me see. I want to read Keith's before I get out of here. I can't qualify what happened with your partner unless I'm working with you or unless I see your super chat. And then again, I'm still guessing on context. For those of you who want an individual session, the 45-minute sessions, they will end certainly by this year, if not in the next month or so. Couples are going to be ending by probably October 1st. I will be moving all of you into a group format that want to work with me on a 5-week basis, twice a week, 60 to 90 minutes a session. And then I will still keep a day with Susan, 3 hours with me when I'm in New York or Scottsdale. And I will still be keeping the 1-hour session. And that's for people who either don't have the time to do the other, are of a high profile and can't be telling people, they can't be sharing in front of other people, or they just want it one-on-one. So some of the way that you've worked with me will be eliminated. So I'm kind of asking you to stay attentive to these new options so that we can still work together in a way that's going to be economical for you. I want to encourage all of you. Let's see, wait, I want to read this. Keith, I'm so happy you're here. I don't think love, power, and control sync up. Think of it outside of dating. Do people with power and control typically exercise that power and control over you because they love you? Okay, love is the portal that we are talking about. Love and control aren't necessarily it. Perhaps it should have been, well, no. Whether you want to admit it or not, even in love, most of us will at some point try to exert a little bit of control or take a little bit of power, really. It's what we call our opinion, the way we want something to be. It can be small. Don't think of control as being overarching. That's a huge version of it. But power and control, these dynamics are always at play in a relationship. I know you think they're not, or you don't want to think they are. Doesn't mean it's always the abuse. Sometimes people have it and they don't abuse it. They don't abuse it. They don't exercise it over their partner. But we each come into a relationship where we intend to love or be involved or whatever our intention is, with chips on the table. Those chips oftentimes, and how the power and the chips line up, determine which partner will be dominant in decision making. Just saying. Which person will tend to get their way. Not always. They don't have the power and the control don't have to be lined up. This is the weird thing. Sometimes the one with the control is not the one with the power because they have control over the person through sexuality or emotional manipulation or something. Okay? So I hope you understand that. So the ultimate goal is to understand that even in what we want to perceive as pure romantic love, we are human beings that have a survival mechanism, that have an ego. That's not a bad thing. It's healthy. It's trying to protect us from being harmed, but it will sometimes, you're going to have a bad day sometimes. Maybe you're going to feel a little ouchy and your partner does something and you're like a little angry and then you're like starting to get a resentment. Where do you think resentments come from? Resentments come from, I'm not feeling acknowledged. I feel left out. I feel unappreciated. And this can be directly related to our discussion today. And I thank you for that. I love having my fellows here with me today. And thank you, everybody, for your contribution. I want to tell you now, oh, Gnarly Cat, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I was seeing this girl for a few months. I was ghosted by her. Worst part is that I often see her at social events and feel powerless and don't know how I should interact with her. My formula for this is that I would prefer that you walk up to her, say hi, and get out immediately. Take the power back by doing the proactive, uncomfortable move. You don't have to ignore her. It's on her. If you've listened to any of our, any of my videos before, my feeling about that is if you make the first move, you show that you're in control. I know she did something wrong. Remember, ghosting is, I don't know how to handle this. I want out. I don't want to deal with your emotions. I don't want to watch your response. I don't even want to explain why I left because maybe I don't even know, but I just want it to be done. And I want to escape because it makes me feel better. And I don't want to be held accountable for what I've done. So that is a weaker person. So just remember, you're already in the power position because you already see who they are. Just walk up and say, hi, Mary, I see you here. I hope you're having a nice time. Then you ignore her the rest of the night. I know it's going to be challenging, but don't want her back. Nothing you want there, okay? So if you have a video request, go to susanwinter.net, put it in the box, and I will bring it up for one of the Tuesdays. If please join us again on another live show. I want you to know about the program I'm doing. I'm starting a new signature program in mid-October. It's by invitation only. The foundational people that are in this group coaching teaching class, it's between 60 to 90 minutes as we need twice a week. And it's called How to Make Love Work for You. Because so many of you have been working way too hard at love. And just like finding your own power, we're going to make it work for you. The initial phase of this is that we are designing this together. I do know what I want to share with you. I know the training I want to walk you through. I know the foundational principles, and I know I'm here for your coaching. That I know. I want you to be my barometer, my feedback on, is 5 weeks a good time? Would you rather have it be once a week? Because I will model the following program on my foundational members' feedback, okay? And you will also get this at a price that is astounding compared to the prices that it will be in the future. If you have any interest, this is fee-based, but if you have any interest in being in this group, my primary group, please email me, media@susanwinter.net. My team will get it, and write group in the subject heading, and I will be in connection with you, and we will have a consultation to see whether this is the plan for you, or an individual plan, or if I make a bespoke plan for you. All of my training is always bespoke. I have foundational things I want to go through, but it depends on what you need, okay? That's where the magic happens. Everyone, thank you. Anything else I want to? Oh, Oktoberfest. If you've ever wanted to my German clients, danke. Everybody else, if you've ever wanted to get the dating games guide, it's really cool. Gnarly Cat can tell you all about it. It's a collection. It's like flashcards to any dating game, any seduction move, whatever's going on that throws you sideways. Now, because the library is available in an app, you can just basically put it in your phone. All you have to do is say or type something in, like pulling away. Every single video I've done at the exact time count. For sure, you're going to get your answer and know the counter move in real time. Now, it was already discounted from $59, which is the real price, down to $49, because I wanted to do that. Then it's taken down another $10 if you use the promo code DANKE, D-A-N-K-E, through October 3rd. Who knew? Oktoberfest is in September? Germans, what is this? Why is it not called Septemberfest? This year, it's September 17th through October 3rd. So if you do that and you want the dating games guide, you got a nice community here. I drop in and I do videos for you. I answer questions for you. Oh, and members of my YouTube channel, those of you who are family and friend tier memberships, I'm not getting your Google requests for videos that I can make for you. Those are just for you. I'm not going to identify who you are, right? But you will know the video because I'll say enough about you. So I gave one to Alessa. God. Jeez, I just blew it. Yeah, maybe they'll know who you are. Darn it. I did one for her, right? So I could do one for you, but it's only the members who will see it. Okay, made a boo-boo there. But if you're not, this is what you're paying for. I want you to get what you want, okay? Any suggestions that you have for me, please let me know. Write me, let me know. I need to know what you want. I'm here for you, want to work for you. B, I love you madly. Gwyneth, thank you so much. Yeah, why? Tell me, German. Why is Oktoberfest in September? I guess it gets too cold in October. Or maybe that's when the beer turns or whatever. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Loved seeing my new clients on here, Barb and everybody else. Eileen, love to see you. Okay, and Jillian, we adore you. I think briefly, maybe Ina was here. I adore her. Gnarly Cat, Pablo, Brian Pablo, all of you in here. I know there are more people that I've missed that I didn't mean to miss. Of course, we love Jillian. That's Carrie. Let's see, everyone. Okay, I'll see you next week. Have a magnificent week. And remember, you have more power than you know. The power is knowing yourself. When you know yourself, everything becomes a lot easier. Okay? Mwah! Thank you, everyone. Have a terrific week. Bye-bye.